Hey guys, this is Manish Sethi, your number one digital nomad, coming at you live today from Lower East Side, New York City. I'm here with my buddy James Swanwick, who is a sportscaster for ESPN SportsCenter Australia. And I've been hanging out with James a lot, and James has a fucking awesome story about how he became an ESPN sportscaster, basically an exercise in just seizing the day and making shit happen. So, James, do you want to introduce yourself? Tell me a little about yourself.
Yeah, sure. I was a print journalist for about 20 years in Australia, England, and in the States. I've been living in the States for about 8 or 9 years. I used to interview celebrities and movie stars. And then a couple of years ago, a friend of mine told me that ESPN was looking for an anchor on SportsCenter on ESPN. I was introduced to the producer of that show. I was living in Los Angeles at the time, and ESPN was over in Bristol, Connecticut, over on the east coast of the States. I emailed the producer and said, "Hey, my name's James. Heard you're looking for a new anchor." And he said, "Yeah, I am. Maybe we can meet up in sometime in the next few months." So it wasn't like there was a pressing need for them to have an anchor, and I was just having an email conversation. Anyway, I've worked out that 2 weeks later he was in Las Vegas for some kind of conference. I was in Los Angeles. I emailed him and said, "I hear you're in Las Vegas. I'm in LA. Why don't I come to you tomorrow and we can meet in person, like in a hotel or?"
So you just called him up and you're just like, "I'm gonna come visit you wherever you are."
I'll just come visit you. Yeah. So I literally decided to go on a Sunday, and then on Monday morning I bought like a JetBlue ticket. It was like $120 return. I got up early, went to Burbank Airport, flew into Las Vegas, got a taxi to the Hard Rock Cafe on Las Vegas Strip, and I met with this ESPN producer, and then that way, we were in each other's company. I was no longer an email name or like some mysterious person. I built rapport with this producer, and we got along famously, and we had like a 2-hour lunch.
So then what happened? He said he liked you, and he said we should talk more. I'm going to give you the job on the spot, or what did he say?
No, he said, maybe we'll get you over there for a screen test in the next...
Maybe we'll get you over there.
Maybe we'll get you over there for a screen test in the next few months.
Okay.
Right?
Maybe.
So that to me was like, this is never going to happen. He likes me, and that's great. But if I'm going to make this happen, if I really want to be an ESPN anchor, I've got to make this happen. So I flew back to Los Angeles, and I thought about it. I waited a week, and then I said, you know what? I'm just going to fly to New York City, and I'm going to tell him that I'm going to be in New York City. I'm not going to tell him that I'm flying there to see him. I'm just going to tell him that I'm going to be in New York City, and maybe that would be an appropriate time for me to come in and do the screen test.
Got it.
So I knew that if I said, "Hey, I'm going to fly to see you, let's do the screen test," he'd be like, "Whoa, a little bit of pressure on there, a little bit too formal." So I just made it happen. So I literally bought a ticket to New York. I arranged to stay with a friend, and I emailed this producer and said, "Hey, I'm going to be in New York next week. Maybe that would be a convenient time for me to come to Bristol and do a screen test." And he said, "Yeah, okay, great, let's do it." So he sent a car from Bristol, Connecticut, picked me up, took me out there, and I stayed for 2 nights while I did like 2 days of screen tests.
And you got the gig.
I got the gig. When I was there, he said, "I'm going to put you on the air in 2 weeks." And I went, "Okay, great, no problem, let's do it." And then, of course, that was like a 1-week stint. And then he called me 2 weeks later and said, "All right, I want you in for 2 weeks." So I went, "Okay." And then one thing led to another. Before you know it, I was hosting SportsCenter on ESPN.
So that's a great story, guys, where if you want something to happen, you sometimes just have to jump out and actually just make it happen. So leave me a message in the comments about what you guys want to happen and how you're going to make it actually occur. Thanks a lot, James.
See you guys.
Check out James' site at jamesswanwick.com.
Yeah, jamesswanwick.com. Swanwick spelled a little funny. SWANWICK.
I'll put it somewhere in the comments. I'll put it on the page. Cool. See you guys.